Evening, Cheeseheads. Welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Cheese Room podcast. You got me and HG tonight. There was meant to be three, but I think Craig's got the Tom Tits, so he can't come along. So the show we were going to put on, we'll put back till next Wednesday. This was our Premier League prediction show. So me and HG had a little bit of a conflab. What can we do? Just the two of us. So we'll have a little chat about the Barcelona game. And then we thought we'll go through our squad because we haven't done that yet, have we, HG? Go through, see who we think we'll keep, possible loans, possible sales.
We've got a lot of players, haven't we? I think someone said it's almost 40 if you include like the under-21s like Scarlett and Divine. There's a whole bunch of players that obviously we need to figure out what's going to happen with them.
We got way too many players. So, like I said, anybody watching, please hit the like button. If you like what you see, even if you're not that keen, hit the like button. And we're getting near that 7,000 subscribers mark. So if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Anyway, enough of the housekeeping. HG, last night, Barcelona 4, Spurs 2. What do you want to do? Do you want to start with the lineup? You thought about the lineup, or?
I mean, look, I definitely think it's interesting that we didn't take everyone, right? So the idea that Kane stayed at home and Romero and Højbjerg and a bunch of others. I mean, Davies, I think, stayed at home. Do you know what I mean? Like, if these are the players that Ange has got full trust in, then some of the Højbjerg haters may not like to hear that. But it was a weakened squad. We didn't take two full teams over. I think even if everyone had played, at least two of the outfielders would have had to play. So, like, it's great to see them get minutes, and I think that we were all expecting a bit of a pasting when we saw the Barcelona side. But all in, I think that once Ange had made the decision to keep some players at home, it was okay. Well, let's see what's going to happen. I don't think anyone expected much, but it was, As I said, it's why did Ange keep those players home? That's the question, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks like they're guaranteed starters, doesn't it? But, obviously he kept Vicario in goal after the game, got a little bit of stick. You're talking about thinking we were going to get a pasting when you saw the team. If you thought that when you saw the Barcelona team, probably thought that after about 3 minutes when we went 1-0 down. What was your take on that goal? Because I think he took a bit of stick, Vicario, hasn't he, for getting sort of beat at his near post in that manner. What were your thoughts on it? I mean, it was just a bit of a messy goal, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is how Spurs are going to be. Like, obviously, I feel as if our fullbacks don't really know who they should be marking when crosses are made. Obviously, the fullbacks are playing a bit further forward, but we've seen it before with Poro, so maybe it's not just because of Ange's system. But when somehow our defenders decide to leave Lewandowski by himself, you start to think, hang on a second, don't. I feel like Poro was probably just on the cover. He saw the man in front of him and thought, I'm going to go with him. But for whatever reason, they left Lewandowski alone. And so I will be honest, I haven't seen a great deal about Vicario's positioning on the first. You're telling me that he was beaten at his near post. I didn't see that. But I certainly know that one of the Vicario goals, I think the third one, I was a bit underwhelmed at what he was doing. But yeah, like if it's Lewandowski, like do we really think that Vicario would have saved it had he been positioned better? Like I wonder what the complaints were.
Well, yeah, I just saw him sort of get a lot of stick. I don't really read into a lot of them, but when you look at it and you can already tell that something there, and people were saying about people getting stuck into him. I think it sort of went under his body, HG. But again, it was the ball come across the box, and it's like Poro playing it at fullback. Nobody can tell me he's a fullback. He just doesn't have those instincts. He's just doesn't react quick enough. He doesn't get that type of position in that area of the pitch. It's just not his forte, is it? He's just always sort of like he's just off the pace in that area of the pitch, isn't he? I mean, can you see him actually, reverting to a proper fullback, HG? Can you see us getting to that point where maybe the system starts working better and we can play him there? Or do I look at it and I think he's going to struggle. He was bought to play wing back. And I think
exactly.
The wing back, yes.
I mean, like obviously Ange wants to attack. So there's a reason why Poro is getting the minutes that he's got in pre-season, because he does add something going forward.
Yeah.
The question is, will we be able to outscore teams going forward if he's there? It's a weird one. Like I was nervous about last night because not only are Barcelona very good, I mean, regardless of who was playing for Spurs, it would have been a tough game. But the fact that they do play, with wingers, with traditional old school wingers who like to play wide, and of course, if we don't have fullbacks that are in that position, you're asking for trouble. Like basically, Barcelona was saying, okay, well, you can have the ball, but if we're going to have players wide, if you lose it in bad areas, then we'll take advantage. And so you look at the best teams in the Premier League, a lot of them play with those kind of wingers. And so I feel like the Barcelona game really, like, none of us would probably want Poro starting those games anyway. We'd all think that Emerson is the better defender. But let's face it, Emerson will be positioned exactly where Poro is. So when the ball is played behind him, it's really who's got the best recovery speed. I'm kind of surprised that Spence hasn't really got minutes in that position at all. He played a few minutes last night, but not as that fullback.
No, higher up the
Bearing in mind
pitch.
that if that's the thing that Spurs are going to be susceptible to, you want pace. Like, as much as Reguilon plays with a bit of a headless chicken kind of atmosphere to him, he has the pace to get back. You wouldn't want Ben Davies trying to do it. And so watching Poro trying, like, it's okay, but it's surprising to me that in those bigger games, maybe someone with a bit more speed at the back. We talk about centre backs getting speed. We've bought Van der Ven, who has that, but Spurs need to have a bit more in the team if we're going to be open like that. So the first goal, obviously wasn't great, and we all kind of thought, here we go. But obviously Spurs got better.
Yeah, well, more importantly, HG, that was an early blow. But after that, Spurs pretty much took control of the game, didn't they? The way we were, we got on the ball and we were knocking it around. Bissouma in the middle of the park in that number 6. Skipp playing as an 8. Obviously, a bit of coach in there, to play a slightly different role than what he has been for us. We just looked really comfortable. It was really good to see, wasn't it? And, we got ourselves back into the game. With a good goal. I mean, that's got to be, obviously not music to your ears because you're watching it, but watching Spurs in that game up until about 70, 80 minutes after we went 1-0 down, brilliant, wasn't it? It was great to watch. You can, when you're watching it and you can actually see and you think, yeah, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're going to be about. It's early days, but it's working. Obviously, the acid test will be Sunday. It'll be completely different, but great to watch, wasn't it, HG? I know you must think that anyway, but
I'll be honest. I don't necessarily like our defenders playing the ball out from the back because I don't feel like we have the defenders to do it. Obviously, Sanchez did a few things last night. Those last-ditch tackles. Dier wasn't terrible until the end. I mean, we have to say that. He was terrible at the end. But I don't like. I enjoy watching us attack, and I hate watching us defend. I mean, that's probably how I would put it. We have to remember that Rafinha should have scored to make it 2-0. When the ball ran to him in the box, blasted it over the bar, like, you'd expect better players to punish us. And that wasn't really Spurs' fault, but it was just, I think it was Poro who nicked it. He was trying to make an interception and he ended up pacing it right into the path of Rafinha. So I do love our attacking intent. I mean, we've all been starved of it for so long, but it does make me nervous that can we really rely on other teams not taking their chances? I mean, West Ham in the first game of pre-season took their chances and beat us. They didn't play well. We dominated everything, but if the other team has got the shooting boots on, we may struggle. So it's all a learning curve, and I understand that. Yes, like Bissouma was fantastic. I mean, that's his position in the team. Like, he's going to be the 6. I know Anne just talked about him being a possible 8. I can see that as a possible 8, but 6 is really where he needs to be. Skipp, obviously, as you said, talked about him. He's been told to attack the box when the ball is wide. I think what we saw is that Skipp found himself in the right position by doing what the manager told him to. I think a lot of our midfielders could or maybe should have scored the goals he did. A rebound and a header from 8-10 yards out.
Yeah.
But if Skipp can do it, that just means anyone can, really, because it's not his natural game at all. So we're seeing that players are taking on this new advice, and it's more difficult for the defenders to really maybe understand when to go and when to get back. But for Skipp and for Spurs to be 2-1 up against Barcelona at any point is a shock, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Barcelona are very good, and I think at some point during the game, probably after Skipp's second, I started to think about all the players that I can remember scoring for Spurs against Barcelona, and it's a list of like players you wouldn't expect, right? Like Harry Kane scored one, and Lucas obviously got the one in Barcelona. But outside of that, it's Skipp's got two, Livermore, and then you had the deflected shot from Lamela. So if Lamela can score against Barcelona, maybe anyone can. But
Wow.
yeah, so like it was the football is better. We're clearly trying to be brave and keeping it on the ground, and you would hope that we will get better at doing that. But yeah, like I'm not going to lie, the defending makes me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got a lot to talk about because we want to talk about the squad, but we would just wanted to have a little chat about this friendly. So, so what we're talking about? Solomon got the start. What were you thinking? What did you think of his performance? What did you see in Solomon? Because he played on the right, didn't he? And
He did.
obviously he's been seen as a left sider, but he's been playing on the right. He played on the right that game. What were your opinions on him? Because obviously, like I said, they've only been friendlies. I don't want to like jump the gun, but what I've seen for what we've got him in, the role I think we've got him in for, I think it looks like a quite tidy bit of business. Early days, I know, but he looks okay, doesn't he?
For a free transfer, I don't think
Yeah,
anyone can complain. I mean, he's young. He's played Champions League football. He's played Premier League football. He's cost us nothing. He can play multiple positions. I still think probably his best position is on the left-hand side, but he's willing
yeah,
to play down the right. And crucially, for a winger in Ange's system, he doesn't mind which way. So sometimes he will
yeah,
go down the outside, and sometimes he'll cut in. Yeah, I think he tried a shot towards the end of the game where he cut inside last night and went with his left foot. I think Solomon has proven to be a solid. I mean, not just a solid signing, but a good one. Like
yeah,
good teams make signings like that, and so for
yeah,
Spurs to do it is pretty good. But I've talked about Kerry's point here. Like, I know which point she's talking about. How we played out
yeah,
from the back, and I think the keeper and Bissouma almost got caught in his 18-yard box, but found Reguilon, who
yeah,
was able to wriggle free. And having done that, having played really well around the back, Sanchez was involved. We got the ball to Solomon in loads of space down the right-hand side, and he messed up the pass. And so after having done all of the hard work, a simple pass around the outside, I think it was Skipp who he went to in the end, that annoyed me. Like, having done all that
yeah.
work, I was like, okay, now we can. Oh no!
But it's that is
But it is great.
Lennon-esque, Maurer-esque, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We've had those players for ages now, where all the hard work and then the final bit is just lacking. But it's one of them,
Yeah.
isn't he?
No, I mean,
It's just another one of
I
them.
think Solomon, like, he's he's not used to being an outside right. I mean, that sounds like a very old term,
Mhm.
but a winger who goes down the outside, I don't think he really wants to. And I feel like at times with Spurs, we are still very narrow. That our wingers should stay wide. You know, if Kulusevski's playing, he wants to cut
Yeah,
inside. If Son's out there, he wants to cut inside. And unless you have the fullbacks really pushing forward, it doesn't really work. I think it then gets a bit too congested. So
congested. Yeah,
when you see Perisic coming on, it feels better because his natural side is to go down the outside. If we had someone on the other side who was willing to do that, we'd look a better side. But it does feel still that we're trying to play through the middle a bit too much. And I'd like us to see, like us to try a few more pot shots from distance or something to kind of keep the space there. Because if you don't, then teams will just kind of sit on their own 18-yard box and watch you go sideways. So there's still lots to do, but yeah, being 2-1 up
yeah,
at
yeah,
half time is great.
yeah. And I mean, we'll talk about some of the players when we go onto the squad list, and we can maybe bring up about their performances last night. But obviously, I think we got to about 70 minutes. We made subs that weakened our team, didn't we? And they made subs that probably made them, if not a little bit stronger. they didn't get any worse, did they? So, and it all went a bit Pete Tong then, didn't it, with the last sort of 15. But Ange came out and said he wanted to give the players a game. They hadn't played, they were probably tired. So, you disappointed with the result in the end, HG, or you just thought that, I don't care, it's a friendly, I saw enough positives in that game to keep me going?
This is where we do our Ange, and we'd be like, results always matter, Milesy.
Yeah.
Results always matter. I'd have taken 4-2 at the beginning of the game. Right, I won't lie. I've been like, okay, we've played an attacking game, we've done well. Barcelona have picked us off. Okay, it's a little bit annoying to lose when you're 2-1 up with 10 minutes to go, and especially to concede 3 more. But it felt as if the players were tiring. You're right. We made subs that didn't really help anything. But okay, losing preseason games doesn't. Oh no, I'm going to say it doesn't matter. It does matter. But it's Barcelona away in a game that, let's face it, the referee was always willing to give Barcelona every help he could. They don't lose that game very often. It's kind of like it's a celebration of Barcelona in Barcelona at the start of every season.
Yeah.
And so the team that goes there is a little bit of a whipping boy. But as you said, we played well, and I've seen in the comments a lot of our B team played, and they weren't scared. Conceding after 2 minutes, you'd have thought some players would have been like, "Do I really want to be here?
Retreat.
Right, we're going to get slaughtered."
Yeah.
But we just played. We continue to play, and that's on Ange. No one else would have got Spurs to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Last thing I want to ask about the game before we get on to the players. Richarlison led the line last night. Depending what happens, he could end up leading the line quite a few games next season, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think to his performance? When you watched him play in that game, obviously Skipp scored the 2 goals, got himself sort of in the box. But did you see anything where you thought he was you like what you saw, or was there enough threat from that area of the pitch for us? How did you feel that went last night?
I mean, and this is it. Threat, no, not really. It felt as if, as much as Spurs played well, it was a midfield battle. I don't really remember Lewandowski touching the ball that much, and I don't remember Richarlison touching the ball that much. It seemed to be kind of midfield against defence for most of the game. So it's rough because there are things about Richarlison's game that you love, and if we're able to keep the ball high up the pitch and play into him and have runners off him, then fair enough. He won't be as good as Kane, but he will put his body about and make life difficult for the defenders, which you obviously need. But there were a couple of occasions last night where he won a cheap free kick with a couple of somersaults that were probably unnecessary, and that helps the team. But when it comes to attacking threat, I don't remember there being many chances for him. I've seen a couple of reports saying that there were a couple, but I really don't remember those.
I can't remember them.
No, so it's certainly not wide open chances that he's missed. Do you know what I mean? He might have been in the box. It may have been half chance this. So I think there was just certainly one occasion when Solomon went through in the first half.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that thinking Kane gets that pass perfect and Richarlison didn't. And Solomon had to go a bit further wide than he wanted. So I don't blame Richarlison. I just think it's going to be horses for courses a little bit. And if we have the ball and he can be in the box, then he will hurt teams. I do believe that. But if we don't have the ball and he's trying to hold it up on the halfway line and win cheap free kicks, that's less guaranteed,
Yeah, when he tries to trap it, the ball might bounce off him the wrong way and run into someone's path a few times as well, hadn't it? So, we could look forward to that. But yeah, I mean, he did have a chance where I can remember watching it. He sort of the ball came into him and he sort of turned the defender and got a shot away and it went over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only one I can sort of remember.
That's true. Yeah, I do remember that. And he was annoyed that he didn't get that one. So there's clearly something there. But the thing with Richarlison is, he's that puppy who wants to please, right?
Yeah.
Everyone else will hate him, but he wants to be loved. It's a weird contradiction. So we hope, I guess, that he never becomes the main man at Spurs and that Kane signs a new deal and that's that. But there are parts to his game that will suit the way Ange plays. And so we just have to hope that we get to see it pretty soon.
I think he's the type of guy, and I said this last season. Well, I'll talk about this when we talk about the squad, actually.
Yeah.
So, should we do that, actually? Should we get into the squad? You've done the
Sounds like a good
graphics for
idea.
us.
Oh, yeah,
So,
these are high-quality graphics here.
Let's get the first page up.
Right, first page. Here
we're going numeral order, aren't we?
Yeah, I just did a few screenshots
HG.
from the club website. So here we go. Right. Let's get rid of the comments. So, like, the first 6 players, obviously we don't have a number 2, but I think we all know that Hugo's gone. It's an easy start, isn't it, Gibbo?
Yeah, mate, going, isn't he? I think no sign of him pre-season. I'm surprised nobody has come in for him yet. I think there's a to coin a phrase from Caller, a perfectly serviceable goalkeeper there. Probably not for a massive fee. So I'm surprised he's still there, to be fair. I've got a feeling if towards the end of the transfer market, if there's no movement, he's the sort that we could probably just say, off you go, find yourself a club.
Yeah, thanks for everything, but you don't have to come to the training ground and pretend that you're earning your money. Just go. Yeah, like, and it's an awful way to end for him.
Yeah,
after 10 years at Spurs, but again, I feel like something must have happened at halftime in that Newcastle game. Right? There's no injury here. Something must have been said, or I don't know what, where Hugo basically burned all his bridges with the rest of the team. I don't know. It's very, very odd. But wherever he ends up, I hope he concedes a lot of goals if he plays against Spurs, and that's about it.
Because the other thing, HG, is as well, he's a very experienced goalkeeper, club captain. We've brought Vicario in, a younger goalkeeper. A lot of the time, these sort of situations happen. And like when Lloris first came in with Friedel, do you know what I mean? Friedel played first of all, and maybe let him settle in and everything. But there's been no sign of that, has there? It's just basically, thanks for everything. You're allowed to go. We've had the conversation with Hugo, and he can find himself another club.
Like, I'm actually surprised. I was surprised to see him back at Spurs when training started in pre-season. I thought it would be, Hugo's probably got some nice big house in Nice where he's from. He could go there, probably train with Nice. He could, the whole manner of things that would have been fine. But I mean, who knows? But I don't expect to see him long term at Spurs at all. Right,
Totally.
Reguilón, Gibbo. What about him? What do you think?
I just think he's weak as a kitten, mate. I just think he's weak. I think he has got pace, and I think he gets in. He gets in good position. Another one gets in good positions, and then the final cross or the final shot isn't good enough. Watching Udogie the other day, I know it was against a different team, but physically superior to Reguilón. Probably more of a threat in the box. Do you know what I'm saying? You just look at it, and physically.
He's definitely third choice, isn't he? Like, if you consider that Davies is going to be around, I'm pretty certain that he will be. Udogie is the man, I guess. Then Reguilón, will we get good money for him? I don't know if many teams have good money.
No.
So we see these, we have Kerry saying we still have so many that need to go. I mean, she's right, but loans, like Reguilón has a couple of years left on his deal, so just like Rodon did, I think loans are going to be the answer. But Reguilón, he's very much on the bubble. Like, his recovery pace helps him out. It really does. But you're right. Like, I don't trust him going forward. I don't really trust him defending. So I'm not really sure what he offers.
If he's a left back and you don't trust him defending and you don't trust him going forward, say no more, mate. Do you know what I mean?
I would agree with that. It is just his recovery pace. Because the thing is, we'll get to Sanchez a little bit, but Sanchez played really well last night. But a lot of it was based on the fact that he had the pace to recover. He could run with players, and Reguilón does have that. Let's move on to Skipp, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think Skipp will stay. I think he's shown that last night. I mean, I don't personally see. Well, from what he's done for Spurs before, it might be different now under a new coach. But I've always been a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about him. A lot of people rave about him, but I don't. I mean, he was excellent last night. Does get around the pitch. Hopefully, he'll get better on the ball. But I've never really seen it. But he did well last night, and I don't think he's going anywhere. So hopefully he's one that will just progress and get better and better. And people like me will see what other people see in him and what coaches see in him. So he's sticking around. I don't think he's going anywhere. HG, you?
Yeah, he's always got those 2 goals at Barcelona.
Yeah.
But we see that Richie here saying that Skipp's looked good under Ange. Yeah, I mean, he has.
Yeah.
It's weird that I still think that Skipp suits I would say like a 4-2-3-1, or like a traditional back four. So he has someone alongside him, someone who can. There's always a few options if he has to pass it backwards. And if he plays as the 6 in the energy system, he's going to struggle because he doesn't have the awareness or the ability that Bissouma does. But as a hard-running 8, kind of like a Henderson did for Liverpool, maybe we might see something. But I think he sticks around because he's young, he's club-grown, he's homegrown, he ticks all the boxes. And so he may not start many games, but he will be there. He'll be kind of guaranteed to give you a 7 from midfield, which is great. You need those players.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And you saying about the Henderson comparison, that's a good one. Yeah, I think he could sort of do that role for Spurs. Henderson was just Liverpool's midfield. He was just a ratter in there, wasn't he? For them, they had Fabinho and Wijnaldum. Liverpool's midfield when they won the league and the Champions League and stuff wasn't really glamorous, was it? They were just like you said, they were just sort of like 7, 8 out of 10s. Fabinho was a good player. They're all good players, but Henderson, Skipp comparison,
The difference here is that Klopp's 4-3-3 played very differently to the one that Ange wants to do.
Yeah.
And so Henderson could be the runner. He could be a mobile player. But Ange wants his 8s to be creative. And that's the thing with Skipp is that's not really part of his game. He can move the ball. He can get you up the pitch. He's got drive. He's got all of those things that are useful. But when it comes to being on the ball, that's the query, right? So he'll stay for sure. But as some of the comments talked about, he's not going to play. He's not going to start too many games, I don't think.
No, fair enough.
All right, go on. Your man,
Here we go.
Your man.
So Højbjerg, like I said on Monday night, safe pair of hands, but he is probably the one midfielder who you could move on where there's a bit of value. Now, I stuck up for Højbjerg loads last season, as you know. But if we can move him on to benefit the team and the team will become better or can improve, then I'm all for it because that's what it's all about. But, I don't get all the grief he gets. I think him playing as a 6, you are like, there's players who can do that role better, who move the ball better, who can play that in a more progressive role. I think when he plays it, he is literally square pass. His body shape and everything. If you get what I mean, HG is very standard, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's all sort of like, pass it to me, I'll pass it to you. But if he played in an 8, he can get about the pitch. He can get a goal. He can put a good through ball. Do you know, he does have those. He does have those qualities. That he's just not. He's sort of like a little bit of a master of all trades, but I'm sorry, a jack of all trades, but a master of none, isn't he? I got it the wrong way around, but that's pretty much how I see him. And I think when he has been poor for Spurs, he's sort of been ran into the ground and asked to do things which he's not good at, and the team around him are failing, and he's been exposed. Yeah, we can do better than him, but we could do a lot worse. I don't think he is a massive problem for us, but I think there's value there with him to be sold.
This is it. Like, I've always thought that Højbjerg is a better 8 than he is a 6. I think he's been better for Denmark as an 8. I mean, Denmark usually play with those, basically a true defensive midfielder, a player like Højbjerg who gets around the pitch, and then a number 10 like Eriksen. That's their midfield. Yeah. And Højbjerg has rarely been the 6. He, again, kind of like Skipp. He's decent in a midfield 2 if you're going to play a 4-2-3-1, and he can be the pivot. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I feel like Højbjerg. I've said this a lot recently. I really wouldn't be surprised if Ange actually starts him at Brentford, because
you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, you do, and that's just it. I think Sarr is a better player for Ange's system, and Maddison is going to play. So it's Bissouma Maddison +1, and people will
Yeah,
clamour for Lo Celso. They will clamour for Sarr. I just don't know, but you're like I'm not sure Højbjerg will be here once the season gets going. I think we may well sell him, and I think he may well want to go.
yeah,
But you're right. There's it. The value is in the fact that he's good enough to have value. You
yeah.
know, if we sell Højbjerg and buy a defender, I think we're all happy.
I
And
think
that doesn't mean Højbjerg is bad. It just means that we know that we need defenders.
if you can move him on and improve the squad, there's not a problem, is there? You know what I mean? We're not going to greatly miss him, but if he sticks around, I think he's a decent. I think he's a decent squad rotation player, and I think you know what you'll get from him. And he can, like you said, he can do a little bit of everything. So yeah, but I do think he'll go HG. I think he's been around for a lot of shit at Tottenham, hasn't he?
If we didn't need to raise money, he would be staying. But because we
Yeah,
do, I think he's probably going to have to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
All right, Davinson. Shall I go on this one?
Go on, HG, you're first.
Davinson played left centre back last night, a position that we've all seen him struggle in, playing for Conte at Mura. I mean, whoever it was, he struggled there. Last night, you saw the best of Davinson Sanchez, which is ability to block shots and recovery pace. Yes, we saw a little bit of him on the ball. There was one moment where I saw him put his right foot on the ball, like to steady himself, and then play it forward with his left foot. And I was like, who is this guy? Like, Davinson is usually the ball's coming to me. I'm looking to move it on as soon as I can. But he's got 1 year left. And again, I think that there
Yeah,
are going to be teams out there who may well want him, especially in Spain. We may not get a lot of money, but I think that there is a team out there that will say, we'll take Davinson Sanchez. And if it costs us 10 million euros, okay. It's kind of a shame because it feels as if the way Ange plays probably will suit him, but he's been at Spurs for a long time. And I think, any mistake and the fans will be on his back completely and
100%.
utterly. They won't see it as growing pains with him like they might do with some of the other players. So
Yeah,
I kind of think Davinson's going to go. And you have to remember he played yesterday because others weren't in Spain. So
yeah.
let's hope that last night's performance has gained us a few extra million. But I think Sanchez is on his way.
I think he's on his way, mate. But I do feel sorry for him. When he first came to Spurs, mate, he was he was decent. I know he played with Vertonghen and Alderweireld, but he is what he is, isn't he? He is quick. He can have good games, but he's susceptible to a brain fart. And like you said, there's 1 year left. It would have been good to have seen him under Ange, under a more progressive coach, playing differently, given confidence by the coach and the players around him. But I just think that time's gone, mate. I think he's off. If we can get the right amount of money for him, which, like you said, I don't think will be massive money, but I think he goes. And I think he'll go somewhere else, HG, and I think he'll have a decent career. I think he'll do a good job for pretty much whoever he goes to. If it's a mid-table or Europa League team mid-table, I think he'll do perfectly fine.
Yeah, someone like Valencia or
Yeah,
Betis or like
yeah,
that's kind of mid-table in Spain. He may
yeah,
not play much, but he'll have a good life. He's still only young. I think he's like
yeah,
27. He's got a lot
yeah.
of football left, so good luck to him. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate the way things have worked out. Right, Son is staying.
Yeah, we
End
don't
of.
really need to
Right,
talk about
we
Son, do
don't.
we? Well,
He's
then
staying.
HG, what we can say about Son, depending on other factors, where do you see him playing? Left side of the three, if all stays the same. If anything
I,
changes, can you see him leading the line?
Yeah, look, if Kane goes, I think. I mean, even if Kane doesn't go, it's kind of like Son's best position may well be in the middle in the way
Mm,
Ange wants to play. Because again, we don't need wingers that cut inside. That like we've got
no.
players who play there. We need wingers who will hold the line. That's why Perisic has done well. That's why I think Bryan Gil would do well. We
Yeah,
don't have anyone who does it down the right, and so Son could easily, since he is right-footed, could easily maybe try and adapt in the way that Solomon has. But I think the way that Ange's system is set up is that we like to get to the byline, we like to bring it across, and we need a striker that can finish with either foot, and that is
There's your
Son.
man.
That
Yeah,
is your man. So I feel like he might be better as a number 9, but whatever happens, he's staying for sure.
yeah, 100%, mate.
All right, let's move across.
Let's move across then.
All right. Well, we talked about Bissouma earlier.
Yeah, definitely staying. Definitely
staying.
playing number 6 HG. And to bring out a football cliche, will be like a new signing.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a whole bunch of players that have seen a new lease of life because we've changed managers, and it's not just because they were out of favour last year. It's the system changed too. But I mean, we've seen things from Bissouma already in pre-season where we're like, this guy, like again, he has the balls needed to play that role.
Yeah.
Because to be a 6 in Ange's system, like if you're under pressure, you've got to be able to handle it, and Bissouma can. And maybe Bentancur can as well if he was to play there. But there aren't too many that can. So Bissouma will be a massive part of our season for sure.
He's just got that nice a little bit of arrogance about him as well, hasn't he, HG? When you see him beat a man, he looks confident, and he looks like this season he's really sort of like he's becoming a big personality, and that's what we need. And
give him the ball. I mean, he's a football player. He knows his ability. He knows he's good. Give him the ball. He can beat people, and he's shown it. Pre-season may not mean much, but he showed it at Brighton when he played in a midfield 3. He's going to have a midfield 3 at Spurs, so it really should be a good year.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Big player for us. So.
All right, Richie. We talked a bit, I guess, when we talked about the Barcelona game.
Yeah.
I think that if we dominate possession, which we may well do in a number of games this season, and he's our centre forward, then he will score 10, 15 goals. Like, assuming that Kane's not around and Richarlison is your main man, he's going to score at least, I would say, close to 15, the amount of chances that we'll create for him. But again, we're looking for a finisher. I mean, like, if you look at Celtic's goal scorer from last season, it's a finisher. You want someone who can strike the ball early and quickly off either foot. Richarlison, I feel like he likes the battle a bit too much sometimes, but he's definitely sticking around. I mean, I will say there was a comment earlier on. I should go back and find it. Someone said that if Kane stays, should we sell Richie, right, to get funds for better? I mean, that's a very good question, Kevin. That really is a good question.
I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah, there you go. If Gibbo says yes, the answer is yes.
No, HG. I admire his willingness to run. He's a runner. The whole when people talk about him being like his shithousery, like they did about Lamella, that for me, when you start talking about a player is shithousery, you're talking about that because the rest of it ain't too great. And I wasn't a big fan of Richarlison when we signed him. I think he's going to, if he does play, if like Kane goes and he plays it up front, he's going to have to get a couple of goals early because he strikes me as the type of bloke who will try too hard if it's not going in, and then and like there, it just will not work for him then. But I'd rather have Son playing down the middle than him if Kane goes. I'm not a massive fan. I'll be glad to be proved wrong, but mate, such a drop off from Kane. He's a drop off from Son in that role, in my opinion. Like you said, I think if he gets 15 goals, that will be an absolutely fantastic season for him.
Yeah. And a good striker in Ange's, I mean, let's face it, a good striker in Ange's team will score 25, right?
Well, I mean, his Kane got? Like, he got 4. I know it's only one game, but like you said.
But yeah, so this is the thing. It's like Richarlison, like it's weird. When you watch him play for Brazil, he's a really good number 9, right? But it's almost like Brazil play it's not they don't play a system, but they're not defending like Conte did, and they're not attacking like Postecoglou does. So he's more useful in more areas of the pitch. And now because we've gone from playing defensive football where he couldn't help us because
Yeah.
he didn't play in his main position to begin with. And then we're going to attacking football where his skill set doesn't really help us too much. But yeah, we'll see. Look, I mean, we'll get on to it later, but
Yeah.
we're being linked with strikers. We've bought a young Argentinian striker. I think deep down, Ange probably knows that Richarlison doesn't really fit, but he's willing to give him a year, and the club need to
Yeah.
give him a year to see. But you're right. Like maybe next summer there'll be someone in Italy that think, okay, we need a number 9, and Richarlison becomes that man.
I think a Richarlison on form, HG,
Mhm.
playing probably the best he can play, is a scorer of good goals, not a good goal scorer.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? I think he'll score some good goals, like he did in the World Cup, didn't he? He scored that bicycle kick. I think he's I think that's how I describe him. But
And I feel like Richarlison is a smart player. Like, yes, he likes the battle, but if you get him the ball when he can turn, like he knows how to use his body to keep defenders away from him. Like I do think there's a very good centre forward in there. I don't know if it's a centre forward it certainly wasn't for Conte's team,
yeah,
and I'm not sure it will be for Ange's. But yeah, it's a weird one.
it's
All
his
right, look,
rolling round. Sorry, mate. That's about where I'll finish.
yeah.
It's the rolling round in the theatrics when if we're losing in a game or things ain't going right and he's rolling around on the floor, just get up. We need to get back in this, and he's right there and he ain't even been touched. But carry on, mate. Yeah.
No, that's right. Look, okay, one word answer for Kane. Is he staying? Yes or no?
No.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So as much as we would all say that Kane should stay because he's so good, for this exercise about what we expect or what we think, I think Kane is going and it's gone and it's happened, and all of the stories in the press are just made up by the press because there's no money in it for them to say it's going to happen when it does. So sadly, but yeah, I think Kane is still probably on his way.
Do you think he'll get the Brentford game, or do you think? I mean, I know this sounds you can't put 2 and 2 together a lot of the time and you come up with 5, but squad numbers are coming out now. HG,
Yeah,
Maddison probably is a big signing for Spurs. A lot of him through the Spurs socials. That Spurs official. No squad number yet. And they could be selling shirts with Maddison and pushing it. Nothing.
yes,
I know that, and I know I could be putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5, but with all the other stuff going on,
yeah. I mean, like if I'm Bayern, I don't want him playing.
yeah,
But for again, like I don't imagine Levy wanting to have a situation where the player. I mean, Kane could refuse, but I don't think he's going to. He's not going to do a Berbatov.
yeah,
So if Kane is here and Ange wants him to play, I think Kane will play the game.
yeah. I totally agree.
And you're right. Anything can happen, and it might screw Spurs over, and it might screw Bayern over, and all the rest of it. But I think he'll play if he's asked, and that will be that. But because I don't think it's weird that Kane seems to be so intent on making sure he doesn't look like the bad guy. Because to me, at least, if Kane comes out and says what he wants to do, then how can I think that's bad? But if Kane is just saying, "Hey, look, I'm happy to do whatever the clubs decide," it's like that's like yeah. But if you didn't want it, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. I like honesty. I understand the value of not saying what you think, but still, yeah. Like I think Kane's gone. All right.
And do you think Do you think it could happen before the weekend, HG, or
No.
do you think that's too late now?
I think it will be very similar to what Gareth Bale did when Bale left.
Yeah,
Like Bale played that first preseason game,
yeah.
and then he was
Swindon.
injured for 6 weeks, and then at the end of August we sell him. Right.
Yeah,
As much as Kane is playing again, like I mean, Bale at that point, like his focus was Real, right?
yeah,
So he didn't really care. Whereas Kane does care a little bit about how he's seen at Spurs,
yeah.
and he's obviously playing really well because he's a really good player. I've always
Best in
thought
the
that,
world.
like we see the question here from Leslie about the money. I've always thought that if the guaranteed fee is more than what we got for Bale, then Levy will be happy, right? And if that's 100 million euros or whatever it ends up being, that's the guaranteed figure. He wants it to be more than what we got for Bale, maybe 95 million quid, something like that. And then I think he wants to say that with all the add-ons, it will be over 100 million, because then he said, because like Levy does care about those optics, because he will tell you, right? Like if it goes well, he will come out and say, I sold someone for X amount of money. And like, again, it's not like he wants to sell him. He would much rather he stayed. But if he's going to sell him, then it has to look good for the club. He has to be able to sell it as an unavoidable success story. But yeah, like I think
100 mil does
if
it.
it ends up being over 100 million, including add-ons, £100 million including add-ons,
Yeah.
then yeah, Kane's gone. And I think it's already been decided. I genuinely do. That considering Bayern were talking in the press and they were doing all these things.
They came over last week, didn't they, HG?
Yeah, they came over last week. And then since then, it's been radio silence from everyone apart from the press. And the press are the only ones kind of dealing in non-committal headlines that don't really say anything. So yeah, but I'd love him to stay, but I think he's going.
Yeah. So we move on. Number 11, Bryan Gil.
Love
injured
him.
at the moment, HG. Injured at the moment. So do you think that means probably get a January move for him?
No,
Loan, possibly?
Possibly, but I think like it's like the question is whether we actually name him in the squad, because he's out for a couple of months, which means he'd be back. I mean, early enough where if he's named in the squad, then I think we should assume that Ange rates him.
Yeah.
And if he's not, then we'll see what happens in January. But it's a really bad, considering we've got so many players, it's such a bad time to get an injury, because like, can Ange really rely on someone he knows very little about? But I think Bryan suits the system perfectly, so I'd like to think he's going to stay.
Do you think he'd be happy to move? Do you think he'd be happy to stay HG and play? Or, obviously, because a while ago he wanted to leave, but then again, probably under Ange, playing on the front foot probably suits him a lot better, doesn't it? Probably sees that.
Yeah, I mean, there are rumours about him feeling a bit homesick, which, I mean, I get, right? Like, it's not easy to move to a different country no matter how much money you have.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of Spanish speakers in the squad. I don't think he's going to... I mean, again, he doesn't know some of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, he left for Sevilla, and then Poro signs. So, like, all these people that he could easily become good friends with, he hasn't had the chance to yet. But I think that... I think if Ange likes him and plays him, he'll want to stay. But if he's not playing football, and like his entire time in England has been not playing football.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of time to sit on his butt and train, but not play football. He goes home to Spain, plays football. Of course, he's going to like the idea of being in Spain and playing more often. But I want him to stay, because I think he would be perfect for what Ange wants to do.
Well, a couple of good cameos. I've not seen enough of him, really. But, he's not going anywhere. If Ange can do something with him. But then again, he's another one for me. If the manager sees fit to move him on because he can get someone else. I know you say he fits into his system, but if the manager wants to move him on because he thinks he can bring someone else in that will benefit the squad more, then it's one of them I'm all about. It's I won't miss something I've never seen, if you get what I mean.
That's true. Like, if he wasn't injured, there may well be clubs willing to spend money, and actually buying him. But when there isn't, because you don't expect people to buy him when he's unfit. So I think he is going to stick around. But yeah, fingers crossed it works for Spurs. I mean, that's what we want. We want him doing well for Spurs.
100%. Emerson Royale, best right back at the club, HG?
Yes. Like, it's interesting.
Mad to say after.
I mean, if you don't want him to cross the ball, there is a footballer there. And unfortunately, when he signed for Nuno, even for Antonio Conte, like playing a wing back, his entire job was to get up the wing and be the attacking movement down that side. When he can make runs off the ball, then he's shown to make decent choices. So yes, he's a defensive right back, but I feel like he can move into midfield quite well. I feel like he chooses to attack and hit the lines quite well when he needs to, and so he should be our first choice. And not just for the bigger games, like we might have said under Conte, but in lots of situations now. Unless we're chasing a goal or we are playing against a team that we expect to beat quite handily, Royal should be first choice. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And just stop the no-look passes. Just play the way you're facing.
Yeah.
Do all the things you're meant to do, mate, and leave the fancy stuff to everyone else. But definitely, best right back at the club. No
Yeah,
doubt he'll
and
start.
that used to be faint praise, didn't it? Like best
Yeah,
right back at the club, but like it's strange that I've said a lot since we started doing these that I quite like the idea of keeping 6 fullbacks and literally
yeah,
just picking based on opponent. And I think Emerson fits the mood in a lot of games. He would be first choice in a lot of games, but Poro obviously is the creative one. But even Spence, if you did want someone who would say, you know what, we're worried a little bit about your fast wingers, so maybe we'll have Spence there, then fair enough. But yeah, Emerson is staying and probably becoming more and more secure as time goes on.
yep, totally agree. 13 Vicario HG. I think
Yeah,
we
he's
can
staying.
all both we
He
can both agree he's staying.
especially when Forster's out, like he's number one for the foreseeable future. We
Yeah,
like not only will the club have no choice really but to back him. The same is true of the fans,
yeah.
and it frustrates me that already, like as much as as much as he may have not looked great in various games, and people are worried that we're not facing too many shots and a lot of them are going in, and we don't see maybe the shot stopping ability that we've seen in YouTube videos. At the end of the day, he's our number one. Like that's not going to
Yeah.
change, and we have to back it. We really do.
Well, probably people will probably start knocking him HG because Raya's going to Arsenal, and if he plays and does all right, then
Yeah.
Raya will have been the keeper that we should have had, and we've got this donkey from Italy, and
But that's not
you shoot. Do you know
Vicario's
what?
fault, is it?
No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
Mm.
Absolutely right, mate. But you know where I'm coming from, don't you? But like I don't think many of the goals he's conceded
Mhm.
have really been mistakes from him, have they?
No,
Probably. I don't think many of
no,
them you'd expect him
certainly
to.
no mistakes. No,
Yeah,
it's not as if he's been caught in possession. It's not as if
yeah,
the ball's kind of hit him in the face and gone in. Like Dan, monster saves. To me, a monster save isn't really what happened last night. He made some saves where shots were from distance that he tipped over. To me, a keeper makes those saves. I'm looking at the ones where, like for example, with the third goal, 1-on-1, the guy's clean through, you make a save, right? And he
yeah,
didn't. And again, yes, you can credit. I think it was Ansu Fati, but I'm not sure. You can credit the goal scorer for putting it in the corner, but he's going to have lots of occasions where that's going to be his thing. So I hope to see more of that kind of ability, but I don't know yet. Like again, I will back him. He's our number one. But weirdly enough, I hope that he doesn't even have to face any shots. Like that's the perfect situation. But
he's going to be
you're right.
facing shots, all right, mate.
And I say that as not. I wasn't a massive fan of David Raya. Like I think Arsenal have got the steal of the century in organising the deal the way they have. I hate that. I hate that so much. But Vicario, he's got to get out there and make those saves. And until he
Yeah,
does, the less than joyful lot of Spurs fans will pelter him for it. And it's not
yeah.
even his fault.
No, but he's the number one, like you said, HG. So time will tell, won't it? Time will
Yeah.
tell. Who we got
Okay.
next then?
Where are we up to? Let's go.
Perisic. I like what I saw last night, HG, and I think I'd keep Perisic. I'm not sure if he will stay, but as a player, a lot of experience, can get the ball in with both feet, contributes with assists more so than any other player we've got in that position, hasn't he? HG. He's probably more. He's probably assisted. Last season, and he's done a bit in pre-season. He's probably assisted more than any other player that's played in those positions.
He is right now the best option to play out there.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Ange's system, and Bryan Gil is not fit, and Sonny likes to cut inside and hasn't looked too good. Perisic, I still wish he would go on the outside more. I feel like he cuts inside too much, but he made the cross for Skipp's goal with his left foot. Didn't have to do anything because the guy just kind of stood off and allowed him to cross. But 6 weeks ago, Perisic might have thought, you know what, I'm quite happy to go and finish my career maybe back in Croatia. But considering how fit he is, I think he quite enjoys the idea of going out with a bang and having this be his final season of running like a moron for 90 minutes or for however long he gets. So I think Perisic is the biggest beneficiary of Bryan Gil's injury. But I think based on what we've seen in pre-season, he has to stay.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. And not as a wing back, as a winger.
No, well, this is it. But he's only ever really been a winger.
Yeah.
Like he was a wing back in a 3-5-2 where he had 3 defenders and at least one midfielder that was there to cover.
And he played high.
Yeah. So what Conte did last season with Perisic and with a whole bunch of players makes no sense. But Perisic is going to
stay for me.
Yeah.
He's a stay. Oh, right. So we'll go on to Eric Dier. You know my thoughts on Eric Dier. Decent bloke. Been a good servant to the club, but just symptomatic of the past 4 or 5 years. I think he needs to go. I think he needs to move on. Little bit like Maguire at Man United, who I don't think is as bad a player as people make out, but just needs that move. And I think the same for Dier now. And you looked at it last night. He did okay till later on in the game, but playing him and playing a high line is a recipe for disaster, mate. So I think he'll stay, but I'd like him to go.
If he had pace, he would be the perfect player for Ange because he's got the ability on the ball. He can pick a pass. He doesn't seem to get too flustered under pressure when you think he probably should. He doesn't seem to. But the lack of pace, and to be fair, the lack of defensive awareness, really, like you don't want him defending. There are so many aspects to his game that are good, but sadly, he hasn't really. Whoever told him that centre back was his best position, he must be an Arsenal fan. That's all I can say.
Wind up merchant.
Yeah. So Dier, again, 29 now. It's probably time. I see all of the comments are very much. We want you to go.
But he's staying, isn't he, HG? He's staying this season.
Do you know what? I think he might go.
Where?
But see, that's the question. But I think that Ange has come out and said that the youngster Phillips is going to be with the first team squad, right? He said that, and if Ange is going to have let's say you've got a Romero replacement, or backup or rotation or whatever you want to call it. Obviously, Phillips doesn't hurt the squad because he's under 21. Dier doesn't really provide anything squad-wise.
No.
And so, very quickly, Phillips might be in front of him when it comes to playing that role. I mean, Phillips is, barely 18, 6'4". You'd expect him to be bigger, to be faster than Dier.
Oh, yeah.
So it's... Let's just say that a lot of it depends on if we make any more signings, and Ange has said that we want to have at least one more centre-back signing. So it may well be that we play 2 of 3, and it'll be Van der Ven, Romero plus whoever the new guy is, and then your 4th choice or 5th choice can be a couple of kids. So as much as I don't know where Dier would go, I would not be surprised if Ange says last week of August, you're not going to play that much, that Dier might well do it.
Find yourself a move. Yeah. But I think he'll stay. Romero, HG, 17, definitely staying. Is he at the minute first choice centre back at the club?
Yep. Yeah, he and Van der Ven are there to be kind of chopped at. But
Yeah.
Romero. Yes, I mean, like, yes, he's been our only real defender for a while, and like we're not going to let him go.
We just need him to sort his head out a little bit more, become a little bit less reckless, and sort of take control of that back four would be good, wouldn't it? HG sort of. I know he's obviously going to be a tough tackling defender. That's what he is.
If Ange Ball works, right, then you've got, let's say, the midfield. What would it be? 7, right? Because you've got the fullbacks and you've got the DM and you've got the 4 attacking midfielders. That midfield 7 is going to be doing all the running and all the work, and the back 2 should really, if they get the rest right, be there to mop up. So Romero can win the ball, beat his man, and then pass it on to someone else. And again, he's comfortable in possession.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. But the question of whether we have the right 7 is going to be, to me, what's the most important about Ange Ball. And if we're allowed to make 5 subs, then maybe 3 of those 7 you'll switch just because, like, you need the energy levels to stay high. But Romero is a definite stayer, no doubt about it.
Just question for you from when I've been watching Romero play: does he pass the ball, move the ball quick enough for Ange Ball? Because he's very good on the ball, but I watch him sometimes, and he keeps hold of the ball for a long time. He doesn't get the ball and move. He doesn't get the ball and move it on as quick as I thought Ange would want him to.
And I think a lot of that will be to do with options. Like, obviously, it's weird. Under Conte, he didn't really have much choice to even think about what to do with the ball. He just had to clear it. But I can see what you're saying. I can see, I really can, that Romero likes to have a couple of touches, look up to see what's available. He's almost like a Glenn Hoddle in a centre back's body. But I definitely like Ange will get him doing what he wants. Right? I mean, this is it. Like, as much as Romero might be probably the most untouchable player we have, him and Van der Ven, I would say right now, are like the 2 that are guaranteed to start if they are fit. But you're right. Romero does have a bit of the, I don't need to do this as fast as you want me to do. I'll play my own game. Thanks.
Yeah, but he's definitely staying. We both agree that number 1 choice at the minute, which moves us on to Lo Celso. And you've been singing Lo Celso's praises. You're quite happy that he's come back and had a bit of a renaissance, aren't you, HG?
Like, I've always liked him. I liked him when he had his best run of form for Spurs under Mourinho just before COVID. I liked him then. I think he's still very one-footed, which I don't like. Like, watching him try and kick the ball with his right foot is like watching me try and kick with my left foot, and I don't want a professional footballer to look like me in any way, shape, or form, especially one for Spurs. But like, it does suit him. It really. I mean, the goal that we scored, the first one last night, where the cutback was from Reguilon, I think, and it went to Lo Celso, who had a first-time shot, and he somehow managed to scuff it a little bit, and it came off the post and rebounded for Skipp. Like, had he placed that first time into the corner, we'd all be loving it. But I'm just nervous that he's another one that might want a couple more touches. Like, if there is a like, if we're moving the ball quickly, then he's great at it. He likes to have runners. He'll do that. He and Bissouma will pass it to each other as often as they want to, and they're both quite happy with that. But when it comes to making decisions and taking shots and doing the things that we're going to need a number 8 to do, he can, but I'm worried that he won't. I think he might like the intricate part of it more than at some point you need someone to be able to put their foot through it or find the corner. And so when Lo Celso, hits the post, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but I would have loved to have seen him just hit it cleanly first time into the corner, because there are players who do that.
Yeah, right? The guy we bought from Betis did that though for Betis, didn't he? HG, the Lo Celso we bought.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good comment again from Kerry. Thank you, Kerry. Like that is it. Like, if Lo Celso wants to be around, and Velise has said that he's going to be there to help Velise. They both played at the same club in Argentina, so there are links between the two of them
Yeah.
in that way anyway. But yeah, like the Ange ball suits him, and so it's just a question of getting good at it, getting better at it. But the skill set that he has really does suit it, and he's left-footed, which for all of our
Balanced.
midfielders, he's the only one. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to start as many as people seem to think, and he did play well when he came on in most of his preseason appearances for Spurs. He's played well, but yeah, I see this comment again from Odd. Um, like I if we sell Højbjerg, Ndombele, and Lo Celso, then I could see easy possibly happening. But no, I think Lo Celso was decided almost for himself that it's a good time for him to stay at Spurs.
I'm quite happy for that though. You know, we do need a good squad. There will be injuries. He does offer something slightly different. And you know, we were going to get rid of him anyway. So if he comes in and he has a go and it doesn't work out, we move him on and get someone else.
Yeah,
You know, so be
yeah.
it. But
This is very much last chance, and I don't feel like
yeah,
he's ever had. I don't feel like he's ever had a real chance, because COVID put pay to what he was doing for Mourinho, and then obviously Conte never liked him, and he
yeah,
barely played for Poch. So it is like this is almost his only chance in some respects because the system will suit what he can do.
yeah,
But yeah, let's hope he figures it out.
yeah. Moving on.
Sell.
The injured Ryan Sessegnon. I was trying to get it in, but I knew you could. Yeah, I mean HG.
No.
I think he's had all his chances now. You know,
Yeah.
another one. Do you give him a chance to play in Duran's? But we got so many players, and he just hasn't got a set position. Another one, like I said about Reggie, I'm just so weak, just so brittle. Picks up too many injuries. I just think now's the time. You could, if he gets himself fit, he's homegrown. There's probably a little bit of value there. Just time to move him on, isn't it? When he gets fit.
Yeah, quite. I feel like if we can get him fit, that's the best
Yeah,
thing we can do. I mean, like again,
yeah.
I've got nothing against him, but I've not seen
Good
anything from
championship
him.
player.
Yeah, like I've not seen anything from him to think he's a Premier League player. I certainly don't think he's a Premier League player for Spurs. He's still young, right? He's still only 23, just so that he's got a lot of time left. But he needs to get himself fit first and foremost and play regular football. And he hasn't done that since he signed for Spurs, really. So yeah, Cess, bye bye.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean,
Fraser Paul.
and to be
Go
fair,
on.
like Kentab's right. Like no one's going to buy him. No one's going to
Yeah,
buy Sessegnon, right? But when I say sell, I mean in this case, it's almost like there's no reason for him to be in the squad. Let's say, I mean, like he
yeah,
doesn't. If he was under 21, then fair enough. He'd be around. And we don't necessarily need to have 8 homegrown players. It all depends on the size of the squad that Ange wants. But I don't think Sessegnon has a future, no matter who's in charge, frankly.
it's a shame. I had high hopes for him. You just
Yeah.
thought at a club like Spurs, a few years, he had an eye for goal, didn't he? But nothing
No,
there
it's
anymore. So we move on.
sadly, Ryan, no. And
Yeah,
Forster, backup keeper, homegrown, fits the
ideal.
bill. Yeah.
Yeah,
He,
absolutely ideal.
I mean, I think this is the second of his 2-year contract.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I think he had a 2-year contract, so it would be the second. I could see him staying on. Like he's not great with his feet, so maybe Ange will look for other options. But right now, it's just not a priority. So
no, absolutely.
Forster
He
will stay.
stays.
All right, we're finally about halfway through this. Okay, so Kulusevski's staying.
100%.
Yeah.
One thing I would definitely stay in. I'd say first choice at the minute in his position, but I think this season needs to add a few more goals to his game. Definitely. You know what I mean? Depending what happens with Kane, Son didn't score a lot, and neither did he. I know he had a dodgy season with injuries and that, but I think we just need to see him start adding goals to his game. HG, he's got it. He does lack that explosive bit of pace, but he can beat a guy. So I think he needs to add goals.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing. Like we've talked about wanting our wingers to actually stay wide. Um, Kulusevski likes to be wide, and I don't think he really he's not one of those wingers who wants to cut in and shoot, because he doesn't do that really. But I think that for him to be really useful to Spurs, he has to stay wide. And if it is, balls. I mean, if you think about the ball that Perisic played in the run up to Skipp's goal last night, if Kulusevski can do that to whoever's running, whether it's the fullback Poro or whoever, then great. He's part of a cog that will work, but he's never really. Yeah, he doesn't attack the box. He's not going to try and if the left-hand side is working really well, he's not the type of player to attack the far post looking to try and get a tap in. So Kulusevski, I mean, I love him as a player. I really do love him as a player. I love watching him. When he's good, he's fantastic.
He's good, yeah.
But whether he really fits, I almost think he's another one. He's more of an 8 than he is a winger, right? And so that, because he'll be more involved. He wants to be involved. I think he's going to make good decisions on the ball. I really do.
Yeah.
Kulusevski, but if you're looking at Ange's system, then I'm not really sure. And I will say this: Kulusevski has said himself, he sees himself as a 10. He likes to be that. He likes to pass the ball through the gaps. He wants to be the assist maker. He's not a goal scorer. That's not his thing. So it might benefit Spurs at some point to say, hey, we'll get you more involved in the middle, and we'll ask you to do other things. But yeah, it's a weird one with him, because I think he'll start against Brentford. I really do.
Oh yeah. I agree, mate. I think he will. I think he's first choice in that position at the moment. Yeah. I think he definitely is. Roden has gone. No T is there HG.
I mean, is that official? I don't know if it's official.
I think, wow. As Fabrizio's tweeted it, mate, it's got me more or less.
Yeah,
bang on.
I feel sorry for Leeds, but no, he needs games. He's not going to get any games at Spurs. I'm surprised
he got job there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've sold one guy. I mean, a lot of that Leeds side from last season is gone, right? They've either loaned them out or sold them or whatever. So Roden will go there. He'll play lots of games, and good luck to him. But yeah, at no point do I ever want to see him in a Spurs shirt again.
No, probably won't. Pedro Poro spoke about earlier. HG stays. I'm not sure how long.
He stays because of how long. Yeah, I think he stays because of his creativity.
Yeah.
Right, you trust him. He's got he could become the right-sided Perisic to an extent, because he's happy to stay wide and he's happy to cross the ball. But to play as an inverted fullback, I'm not sure I see it. So
I like him. I like him, HG. But I'm looking at it thinking longer term, depending what we do when we progress with Ange. Yeah. I'm just not sure. People say about him playing right wing. That's a possibility, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work out for him this year if we move him on. Yeah. Because there'll still be some value in him then, won't there? And he's obviously in the right system, playing in the right team. He's got a lot to offer. But whether he'll be ideal for us.
I mean, it really is. He's a lot younger than Perisic, but I mean, their skill set is pretty much the same, as in they are good going forward. They can cross the ball well. You expect them to to find their target when they're crossing the ball. But whereas you'd never think Perisic would be an inverted fullback, why is Poro doing that? I'm surprised a little bit that's where. But I think that for Ange, he's thinking, I want to have someone with his crossing ability in the team, and maybe I want to have proper wingers play down the sides. So I think, to me, Poro, if we're chasing the game, then Poro will come on as a sub, and he'll give more attacking impetus in that role than Emerson Royal does, or at least a different style of impetus. Yeah. But he's staying because we only just bought him. More than anything else, really.
When Ange ball's in full effect and everybody knows their role, HG, maybe he slides into that role then at fullback. We don't know, but like I said, I'm just not sure where that's going to go. But I think he's a decent player. Dead balls as well, so definitely one worth keeping around. On the other hand, Jed Spence, pretty similar position. Look, just no matter what we think, it looks like the club are ready to move him on, doesn't it? We've got too many players in that position. Never really had a chance.
I mean, we're getting again the same rumours about Jed Spence that we heard when Warnock talked about him at Borough.
Yeah,
That the professionalism just isn't there. But again, I know we haven't played many preseason games, and I understand that Ange is a bit frustrated at that fact. But I thought we'd have seen Spence more. I
yeah,
really do. Like, he came on, played right wing, barely touched the ball, spent most of his time talking with Devine. Like, but I just think that the minerals are there, right, for him to be
yeah,
pretty good in this system. I believe that, I really do. But yeah, if Ange just decided that there's something, because you get that sometimes. You meet someone and the trust isn't there instantly. So you're right. I think Spence could easily get a loan to somewhere like Palace, play every game, be first choice right back, have a good season, and we sell him for good money next year.
yeah,
But it's a shame because the talent is there, and how you
yeah.
harness it is difficult.
I agree. I agree with all that, mate. But I do think he's moving on. Pretty similar to Tanganga. If we can get what we need for him, and talks of Inter Milan, which I find quite amazing, really. But
Yeah.
that is what it is. But I think if they can get a move for Tanganga, I think they will. And I do think by the end of the transfer window, he will go. He'll be on loan somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. Like, if we were willing to play Sanchez and Dier last night instead of Tanganga, that tells you where Ange is thinking that there's
Yeah,
no future for him. If he thought there might be a future for him, then he would have played some part of last night's game.
yeah,
So, Jaffet, I don't know where you're going to go. Luton maybe would be a decent place for him.
yeah,
But again, we won't be getting eye-watering figures. And again, any club knows that Spurs need to sell, or that,
yeah,
so like basically we'll be doing the begging, and they'll say, okay, well, we'll take what we can for a price that we're happy with, or for a loan that we're happy with, and Spurs will just have to basically accept whatever offers they get.
yeah. I mean, we can't really say much because he never really plays a lot, do we? And every time he does play, I never, apart from the Man City game, I never really feel that comfortable having him there. So
Right.
yeah, last Tanganga in London. So
Thank you,
yeah,
King Hoddle. That did make me smile, at least. Yes, that's the last one.
time to move him on. HG.
Yep. Tanganga to
Preston.
Tongi.
Yeah, wow. Tongi, I think everybody got a little bit excited, didn't they? Early days, but I think this is another one they're going to move on.
Yeah, I think it has to be a personality thing,
It's got
and
to be, hasn't it?
yeah, I don't like. It's weird. Ange has this weird ability to make you think that everyone likes him, but
Yeah,
because he's very. I mean, he says himself, like, he's quite aloof. He likes to watch. He's not everyone's mate, but people love him.
yeah,
Yeah, Tongi, he's had no minutes in pre-season.
yeah.
I know he got injured, um, but that is not a good sign for anyone. I mean,
No,
like, playing Tongi last night would have been perfect. I mean, like, I didn't realize. I tried to watch last night's game on some dodgy stream, but German Sky actually showed it last night, and I had
did
no
they?
idea. I didn't even look. Why would they be showing it? But
Yeah,
again, they did. It was a world stage for him, and he wasn't on the plane, didn't play any minutes. So yeah, Tongi will end up somewhere again, most likely on loan.
yeah,
He's done France, he's done Italy, and won the league. He could end up somewhere very, like, I mean, we all thought it was crazy going to Napoli, but he didn't play very often, but he won them the title, helped win them the title. He could go somewhere completely weird and wonderful, but such a talented player. But
yeah.
if Ange doesn't trust him, it's not going to happen.
He'll go out on loan, and that's probably how he'll finish his Spurs career. HG
Yeah.
by being out on loan somewhere. It's just not going to work out for him, is it?
No, I mean,
There's only so many chances.
if you think all the players we signed in 2019, I think we signed on 6-year deals. So
Yeah,
Sessegnon and Ndombele, Lascelles, so maybe not Jack Clark, right? And then
yeah,
in 2020 under Mourinho, all those players signed 5-year deals, like Reguilon and Rodon, and a whole bunch of others. Or at least, like, the younger ones did. So
yeah,
they're all hitting that point now where we've got 2 years left right now. like, do Spurs want to keep them around long term? Probably not. Do they want to stay long term? Probably not.
No.
So most of them will probably disappear within the next 2 years, and it's about Ange getting the most he can between now and then. But Tongi has to go.
Yeah. Thought we all think everybody knew it. We all got a little bit excited, but let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
it all works out how we pretty much thought it would.
I've seen a few comments about this. Like, Tongi didn't go to Australia because apparently he had a knock, but he trained once we got back. He's been training since we got back, and he's not been involved in any way, shape, or form. So I suspect now that that knock that he got was just quite convenient and probably not the truth. He's been in lots of training videos pre-Australia. He's been lots of training videos post-Australia, and he's not played a minute. To me, that means he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay.
Are we in the 30s yet? Nearly.
Well, yeah, almost. All right.
Matar.
Yes.
Staying. Starts on Sunday for you, HG.
I think the brave thing would be to start him. Absolutely. And just made this big thing about being brave. But like, Sarr has looked good in pre-season. He really has. And again, he's got the mobility to get back and help out. He's still so young. So like I would be surprised if he starts, but I won't be disappointed if he starts, because it would be a massive sign that that Ange has said, right, like, I do believe in you. If you start Ange's first game, there's a good chance that you will be around and be involved a lot this season. So if Sarr's there, then brilliant. But he's definitely staying, because we can all see the talent that he has. He just needs to stop shooting. But otherwise,
we'll get better
he's
at
a very, very good player.
Get better at it. But yeah, definitely, totally agree with you, mate. Good addition to the midfield. I probably see him as being the better player overall than Skipp. But yeah, I think he'll start. I do think he'll start. Ange just spoke like in glowing terms about him, hasn't he? So
yeah, well, I mean, this is like, neither one of us are doing the Friday show, right? So when we're done with this, we can talk about what we think might happen on Sunday. But Sarr is certainly, I mean, probably, if he's not in the top three, he's fourth choice right now. Like, he's best of the rest. So he's a very good player, and one that Spurs will try to build around.
Yeah, and either that, and he's just keeping the place warm for the next guy, number 30, Bentancur. Not going anywhere, HG. No. Need to get him back fit, and that will only make our midfield better, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, probably my favourite player at Spurs. I've never been one to like the goal scorers so much, but Bentancur joined the club, was immediately one of our better players, and was much better than I thought. Like, I feel like Juventus didn't know how good he was. So just the ability to evade the press, and he's a quality footballer. So he will definitely stay.
Well, I think, HG, if he'd have stayed playing as well as he played last season, if he'd have stayed fully fit, there would have been a host of clubs in for him. 100%. And I think big clubs as well. Really good teams.
No, I would agree with that. Maybe him being injured has helped us. Like, if you think that Man City are apparently after Lucas Paqueta right now, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I don't see that at all. Maybe we are fortunate that Bentancur is out injured, and that those teams who are looking, those bigger teams who are looking for midfielders, didn't try and see what they could do with us. Yeah,
definitely. So can't wait to have him back. We've got some decent midfielders, so hopefully we don't need to rush him back. We can get him back to his, where he should be fitness-wise, and then it's just a great addition to the first 11, probably when he's fit. Definitely first 11, but need to get him back. And then we move on to Ben. He's not going anywhere, is he? Old gentle Ben.
No, definitely
left
not.
Back, left centre-back.
Ange likes him. Like, obviously he's played centre-back in pre-season. And I guess in an awful turn of events, if we don't get another left-sided centre-back, he may well be that, right?
Yeah.
But no, like, I actually think he'd be all right as an inverted fullback. I think that would be okay. Like, he may not be the best choice for it, but again, homegrown, will give you a pretty good performance in a bunch of
Yeah.
positions, could come on and be the left winger and do all right. I mean, like his best performances for Spurs last year were almost as the wing back. He was the best wing back we had last season. Like
Yeah.
Ben Davies, again, I think he's 30 now, but he'll be at Spurs for another couple of seasons, I would think.
Yeah. Just a good squad player, isn't he? Good
Yeah.
old-fashioned squad player. You need those. Austin, Whiteman, speak about both of them together, HG. They'll be there till they die.
I mean, Whiteman's injured now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, I don't understand why either of them are still at the club, if I'm honest. But I've always thought Austin was better than Whiteman. So Whiteman getting injured, as awful as that is, okay. Right now, Austin's going to be on the bench against Brentford.
Yeah.
It's Vicario's first choice. Forster's injured, so Austin will be there. We have to hope that if worse comes to worse and he comes in, then fair enough. But I don't see either one of them really getting a chance long term. And for a goalkeeper, like you need to play football. They've both gone out on loan, but
Never been bought, mate.
I don't feel like Brandon Austin was ever really first choice in the States. Whiteman went off to Sweden, I think, and played second division football. It's all a bit,
The fact that they're still there, HG, says it all. They've been there years. They played in some of the pre-season friendlies.
Yeah.
They go out on loan. Nobody ever tries to buy them. They're just
and they're probably making good money.
Yeah,
right. I mean, very good money.
Top league football.
But so Whiteman, because he's injured, probably won't get named in the squad, but Austin will.
Yeah.
As third choice, Austin will be named. He'll be kept.
I'd rather see the young Irish kid that
Kelly
is meant to be. Yeah, they've had these two have had their time there. Move them on.
To me, if they're willing to stay, then I'd rather have those people be the third choice. But for a goalkeeper, you need to be playing. If you look at the Man City goalkeeper, right, who they sold to Burnley this season, right?
Oh, yeah.
He did 6 months at Accrington, 6 months somewhere else, a full season at Bolton, and he's 20. And now he's got his move to Burnley, and they've paid a lot of money for him. He's probably going to be first choice there too. It does make you think that at any age you need to be playing, right? No matter what level it is, you need to be playing and competitive football. And to me, reserves don't really cut it. Under 18s, fair enough. That is a level by itself. But once you're 18 and you're officially an adult, you need to be playing adult football. So and to be fair, if we move on, that's true about Harvey White as well, right? He's had two half-season loans. I like Harvey White. I think he's a very intelligent footballer, but it appears as if, if he's not playing for Portsmouth and he's not playing for Derby, maybe they see him as being weak and brittle as well. But I actually think there's a very good footballer there. But he's not had any minutes, I don't think, this pre-season.
No, that's it. He's not had any minutes. I've not seen enough of him, HG. I've seen him do bits, last season and when he's had games for Spurs before, not this pre-season. Neat, tidy, but never really under any pressure or anything. So, just let the coach decide.
When I've been thinking about my squad, I like because the inverted fullback for Ange is so important, and we don't really have many who fit it perfectly. That if you keep as many around as you can, I've said about Reguilon, doesn't really suit it in any direction. Harvey White, to me, as a midfielder, is probably when you look at what Arsenal do with Zinchenko, they've had a midfielder move back to play left back. Right, Harvey White doesn't have the experience clearly that Zinchenko did, but I feel like there are quite a few similarities if you could figure that out. Because if you move Harvey White into midfield, he's comfortable there, and if you've got the ball, you don't need to worry too much. And if you've got Van der Ven behind him, then he'll be running and covering that area anyway. But Harvey White seems to me a little bit undiscovered gem at Spurs. But yeah, if Ange hasn't seen it, then he should surely be on his way.
We'll never know. I mean,
No.
I think he'll probably go out on loan at HG. I think he'll probably be sent out on loan, won't he?
Probably. I mean, again, as a youngster, they need game time. Just like, right, so these are the players that obviously don't have squad numbers with Maddison, Solomon, and Udogie, and I put an extra 3 in who have 2 have played minutes, and Parrott is obviously one of the older under 21s that we have. But like Maddison's staying, we don't need to talk about that. Solomon's staying, Udogie's staying. So, and 2 of them will start, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Divine has looked decent, but needs to play, so that's a loan.
Yeah.
And
he needs a good loan, doesn't he? Because I think there's talent there, there's promise there. He needs a good loan, and somewhere where he'll play.
All 3 of them, right? Like, I mean, Dane Scarlett's still pretty young. Like, I'm going to beat this drum for a long time. I think Troy Parrott is a very good striker. I really do. But he hasn't put it together, right? It's one of those, like, if he finds the right club or he finally puts it all together, then you could have something. But he's not going to play for Spurs this season, so he needs to get out and play. And maybe he won't go back to Preston, who started last year with a bunch of 0-0s and 1-0s and binary code stuff. But if he can get himself at a club that plays attacking football and plays regularly, then hopefully he'll turn things around, and at the very worst, we can sell him for good money.
Maybe a good move for Divine HG would be if Scott goes to Bournemouth, as they're saying, Bournemouth are in for him. Divine takes his place at Bristol City, because Pearson, he's been playing a lot of young kids there, so somewhere like that would be a good move for him to fill that void for a season, so we can see what he's all about. That's the type of loan he needs.
I've just seen what King Hodder was put. Away. Is that real?
Yeah, I think it is, mate. Yeah, it's in our WhatsApp group.
So, like I've said, so I mean, no. Like, is that like it's almost the worst possible draw we could have got?
Yeah, well, that's what we've got, mate.
Like, I mean, I joked early on that this idea of like we could be out of a competition before the end of August, before Kane leaves, because that game is like August 30, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, what a nightmare! What an absolute nightmare! I ain't
sure if Fulham are going to be any great shakes this season.
I mean, they don't have Mitrovic. They don't have a striker. I think Mitrovic
Williams
did go, right?
I'm not sure he's not going to play. Williams going, isn't he?
Yeah, that just.
Tosin's going.
At least it's going to be on TV. I think that's the only thing we can say. But like, lots of people have talked about Ange being under pressure from day one. I am not. I would have liked a nice, easy home draw, but the way that the football gods work these things, it could easily be. Oh, jeez.
If we're going to win a cup, mate, we've got to be able to beat Fulham.
Yeah,
let's be honest. Let's be honest. If we're going to win a cup, we've got to be able to beat Fulham.
Yes. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I want to play. No, I don't want to play Premier League teams in every round away from home. Like Fulham at home, like I wouldn't be happy, but okay. Yeah. But I mean, really, like Fulham away is probably like Chelsea away would have been harder. Brentford away again. Do you know what I mean? Like a Premier League side away from home in the first round of a cup you want to take seriously. Interesting times at Spurs.
Yeah, it'll be exciting, mate. It'll be exciting.
I just want an easy game once in a while. Is that too difficult to ask for? Like a nice home tie against Wycombe Wanderers or whatever.
Well, Chelsea got Wimbledon at home.
There you go. See? There you go. Wimbledon, I think, finished 89th out of 92 last season. Just the thing I was like, I believe that we can beat Fulham, right?
Of course we can.
But I don't want to play Fulham. I don't. Do you know what I mean? It's obvious. Like you do. I want to beat whoever's in front of me, and I think that Spurs can. But that is just
Rochdale at home is what we wanted, but
Yeah.
we ain't going to get that.
Fuck's sake. Right.
Dane Scarlett.
Dane. Well, I mean, he's against just young.
Yeah.
I don't think he's really ready for the championship, to be honest. Because I don't think a championship team will want to play him every week, and that's what they need. They need games.
Yeah.
So 6 months in League One, if he does well there, then maybe he can move up a level. But no, I think Scarlett. I think that a lot of Spurs fans are hoping and praying that we've got this raft of young strikers, and we hope that at least one of them will become a good squad player for Spurs. But they need games to achieve that. They really do.
Yeah. Oh, a good loan. Another one. A good loan for him.
Yeah.
A decent loan, like you said.
Yeah.
So that's what those three down the bottom need. Troy Parrott, I think, is a little bit last chance. I know you rate him HG, but it's a little bit last
definitely
chance
last
saloon
chance.
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely last
The other
chance.
two have got a couple more chances, I think. So yeah. So
all right, last slide. Here we go. The three signings that we've made in the last week. Spurs obviously haven't updated their webpage, otherwise they would have been on earlier.
yeah.
So clearly, Van der Ven is not just staying; he's first choice. He's the
First choice left
man.
sided centre back.
Absolutely. I don't see any logic in loaning the other two out, if I'm honest.
I don't think
So
they've been brought with that in mind. HG,
no,
I think they are part of the squad. How many minutes they'll get is yet to be seen, but I think they have been brought in to be around the squad.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think that I mean we didn't pay much money for Phillips, and Phillips hasn't played much football senior because again he's only just turned 18.
Yeah.
But Felice has played Argentine football for a season and a bit. Van der Ven obviously again has not played that much football because he's very young, but I do think that since the top two count as under 21s, there's no issue with numbers. We don't have to worry about them being homegrown or foreign or whatever. They're under 21s. Van der Ven obviously would be counted as a foreigner, but they're all going to stay around. And you're right, it's a question of how many minutes they'll get. But yeah, if Kane goes, then Felice might get a few more than we probably say right now.
And that is a big if, isn't it, HG? I mean, me and you think he will go. The talk on social media tonight is that he's staying, Kane, but obviously it's just a load of Twitter nonsense. You never know.
I mean, this is the question from Richie, right? Like, if Kane goes, then I still think Scarlett needs game time, regular game time.
100%.
So I wouldn't keep him. I wouldn't keep him. Bearing in mind we've both talked about Son being a better number 9 in this system than he would be as a winger, then Richarlison and Son and Felice would be your three, right? For that, if Kane was to go, and obviously none of them can replicate what Kane does, but we're not trying to replicate what Kane does. We're trying to be a better football team, and if Kane goes, that's all we need to try and do. All we need. It's not easy, clearly, but
no, but you're right. That's what it's got to be about. That's part of the whole part of the Kane thing. Just is he going to stay? Is he going to go?
Yeah.
The team needs to come first. What's happening on the pitch needs to come first for me. But obviously, we'll always be a better team with Kane in it. Just want the decisions to be about that. But and the young lads, I agree. They need loans, whether Kane goes or not. Scarlett just needs to go out and bang a few goals in, find himself.
And the good thing is, if we view Ange in the same way that Pochettino was 10 years ago, he's going to come in and build a team ethic. Yeah. Ange recognizes that he's the leader of this club, right? So he will take responsibility for everything that happens at this club, which is great because we've had lots of leaders at the club recently who have not done that.
Yeah.
So it's obviously Kane is a fantastic footballer, undoubtedly the best goal scorer Spurs have ever had. When it comes to sheer number of goals, he is number 1. When it comes to being the best 9 in the league and the best 10 in the league, he is an incredible striker, truly, truly incredible. But Spurs finished 8th last season, and we want to finish higher than that. And we can do that without Kane. I do believe that. So
Yeah,
as much as I don't want him sold, it's about making the team be number one. You work for each other, you play for each other, and Ange will defend you to the hilt. And that, to me, is what good managers do.
100%. Like, I think Klopp. I don't particularly like Klopp. I think he's an idiot, but he is the ultimate at doing that, hasn't he? He's gone into Liverpool, the figurehead. You know, I know he does a lot of this. You know, he started to get involved in the nonsense a bit more, the moaning and stuff. But he's the ultimate sort of like get the team playing in your image manager, isn't he?
I mean, you talked about that midfield that Liverpool had when it was Fabinho, Wijnaldum, and Henderson, and I mean, like Wijnaldum's left Liverpool and done very little.
Yeah,
Henderson has decided, okay, I'm going to go to the Saudi Arabia. Fabinho has done the same, right?
yeah,
But you do get the impression with Liverpool that, like, even with Mo Salah scoring all the goals he did and Mane scoring all the goals he did, Klopp was Liverpool, is Liverpool,
yeah.
right? Salah is a player for Liverpool, and I feel that way about. I mean, even with Man City, like, I think this is Kevin De Bruyne's 9th season at Man City, and in my head, it's still around 5, but he's been there so long. But Pep is what you think of when you think Man City. Like Haaland, maybe to an extent, but Pep has always been the main man. Like when Aguero was scoring all those goals for Man City was about money and Pep. It wasn't about the players that they signed. And I think that Liverpool is kind of the same. That the manager has to be the figurehead. So if Spurs have figured that out, and the manager is not just blaming the club for everything that goes wrong, then hopefully. Well, I do. I think we will be better than last season. There's no doubt in my mind.
Totally agree, HG. That's what it's all about. But yeah, so King Hoddle, have we got any other slides, HG, or is that the last
No,
one?
those are all of the players I chose to pick, which I think there was still quite a few. We had six slides with 6, and then these 3. That's 39 players we've talked about that Spurs have right now. And although some of them will go on loan for sure, not all of them will be around. Not all of them will be able to play football if they don't leave the club.
No, and
So
how long we got, HG? We've got 3 weeks, is it, to move these players
yeah,
out?
just over 3 weeks, and like Ange will have made his decision on 7 or 8 of them already,
Yeah,
right? And I'm sure those players will know that that's the decision that's been made. But there will be a few that Ange will probably keep around if player X can't come.
yeah,
And so we might see a couple of players. I mean, maybe not players who, like a couple of players who are in Sunday's match day squad who may not be at the club come September 1st. Like
yeah.
I genuinely feel it could be like that.
But I think we've give a good we've had to give a good account of those players tonight, HG. I think it was a last minute decision from us, wasn't it? We were going to do the Premier League predictions. Me, you, and Craig had worked out, but
Yeah.
like I said, Craig.
We'll do that next week. We'll be a game wiser at least.
Yeah.
But
So we'll
do
see
that
how
next
our
week.
predictions are panning out after one game. But
And one question before we finish up,
go on.
right? Because we're not doing Friday's show,
Yeah.
and we do have Brentford at the weekend. What is your
Yeah.
team for this Brentford game? I want to know. We'll do that, and then we'll call it quits.
Vicario, Emerson, Udogie, Romero, Van der Ven for his pace, Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison, Kulusevski, Son and Kane.
Okay, I feel like the only change from that. And I love the way how you said Van der Ven for his pace, and not because everyone else is really, really bad. But
Yeah.
I think that it's that position alongside Bissouma and Maddison.
Yeah.
Sarr is the brave choice, but I have a sneaky feeling he's going to pick Højbjerg there.
Yeah, that won't bother me. I just think Ange is a brave manager. He's a brave guy. I think he do. I think he fancy. I just think he'll pick him. I won't be bothered either way. But,
No, I mean,
yeah.
if you base it on, it's funny. If you base it on pre-season, some of those names don't play. right? Like Son probably doesn't play based on pre-season. But the good thing with Ange is that if it isn't working, he's going to use those 5 subs. And so we you know, it wouldn't surprise me to see Son come off after like 55 minutes, right? And for Solomon or for Perisic or for whatever. Like if they're not doing what he wants them to do, he will hook them. But like Brentford, I suspect we'll play 3-5-2. I don't want to say we are fortunate to play them without Tony, because everyone gets to play them without Tony once. But it's not an easy game. Sunday afternoon. We'll see what happens.
At Brentford,
it's weird. We talk about, was it 2 seasons ago when Arsenal started at Brentford, first game of the season?
Yeah.
And they got beat, and then the next week they got beat, and then the next week they got beat, and everyone was like, "Hey up," right? And then game 4,
9 points.
And then we were 9 points clear because we'd won 3 under Nuno, and we're thinking everything is fine. And 3 games later we're behind them again. Like with Man United being second up, like if we lose on Sunday, there's a good chance we could lose the first 2, right? And then suddenly game 3 becomes really important, and then you've got the Fulham Cup game straight after that. Right. So that I'm a Spurs fan. I understand that this could go haywire very quickly because I've seen it with Spurs. When we had the 2 points from 8 games start, we had a great preseason. Everyone was kind of excited as to what might happen, and then we couldn't buy a win. So if we play anything like we did in any of those preseason games, we will beat Brentford. I do believe that. I think Brentford's new goalkeeper is ropey. I really do.
Yeah.
So, but of course I'm nervous. Of course I am.
You're going to give a score prediction? You're going to give a score prediction?
I will say...
Or a result prediction?
Yeah, 3-1 Spurs. We are going to concede because that's what we do. But again, we've created so many chances, and if Kane does play, we're winning the game. But I am nervous. I am nervous that it'll be the end of August and we'll have lost every game, and half the Spurs fans will be calling for Postecoglou's head, and Vicario will become the next Massimo Taibi, and all of those possible negatives. But if we beat Brentford, then I think everyone will calm down. It's a massive game. Losing to Man United the week after wouldn't hurt me greatly because they are further ahead in what they're trying to do. I'd be disappointed, obviously, but to me, it's almost like we'll see what we can do in that game. But Brentford, this will be a big test of Ange's system.
Yeah, their pace up front will cause us problems. So we just need to deal with that a little bit better than we have been. But, I'm hoping... I don't think we'll win. I'm not going to say we'll lose. No, I think Brentford, it's a really tough game away there. And I think we'll score. I think it could be like a quite high scoring game.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if we'll win it.
A lot of it may do with, when we lost to West Ham, it was set pieces. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You seem to have frozen, Gibbo. Are you there?
Am I back? Am I back?
You are back. You are back. You are back. All right. Gibbo, do you want to end it?
It's my internet, mate. My internet started playing. Yeah, I'll end it. So when we end, all we got to say then, thanks for everybody for tuning in. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Yes.